so.
Yeah, I just have something I have to put.
Well, everybody look, the minutes were sent out, anybody not approve them? Somebody make a motion to approve them?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Second, second, we have a
I'll
second.
second that.
All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
The president has no remarks right now. We have some remarks during the executive session.
Oh, Miss Office?
Hmm?
Miss Office, your remarks?
Yeah.
I had to print, I forgot. Yes. So we have the insurance bill for the upcoming year, and it did increase from $48.54 for the current year. It'll be $49.33 in the upcoming year. Of course, they automatically increase the coverage on the building, and like they do with your own homeowners, I suppose. And then for the commercial liability policy, it went from, no, it actually dropped, $480 for the current year, and the upcoming year will be just $384. So maybe the longer you go without a claim, perhaps it drops a little bit on liability.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. Membership numbers for the year, for the current year, are 78%, which is really good. We used to figure that by the end of June, 80% by the end of June. Newsletters going to the post office tomorrow, and they have a whole new way of doing the labels now. You have to upload your spreadsheet, your list of names. They go through and verify all the addresses, which is good. Give you any changes that need to be done, like extended zip codes and so on. Then they actually, you download the labels with the barcode on them. So they're big labels with barcodes now.
And you only have to do that one time?
No, I'd have to upload it every single time.
Oh.
Well, because it would change. If somebody comes in that's new, or somebody decides they want a newsletter by email, apparently, they don't store the information for you. It's not that hard to do. Once you figure it out, it's not that hard. Working on the QuickBooks database, and I way through the S's, which is a good thing. I now have a designation of, in addition to the certified manager of a community association, I'm also an association management specialist.
All right. Yeah.
Well, I got thinking about it, I looked into it, I was looking to see what classes I needed, webinars I could use and so on, because I have to recertify every 2 years. And looking at it, I realized I already had enough to be designated the association management specialist. And just by the number of years I've done it and the classes I've taken and so on. So rather than retesting in the fall of '23, I paid, which would be like $500 or so. I paid $100. You paid $150. But I don't have to test for 3 more years.
Oh, that's good.
Good deal.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, but now,
You need booster shots?
but
Just
now
got
that
that.
you're a specialist, do I have to get a copy, pre-clearance from my insurance company to talk to you?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Yeah, she want raised too,
I
probably.
mean, life is full of hassles.
Just, no, it made good sense to do it that way. And I also forgot to buy water, so anybody that wants
Here it is.
water, gets
Specialist, she
Jimmy's.
needs to know you've done it.
That's all I have. May I ask, who made the motion to approve the minutes?
Somebody over there.
I moved that we
Yeah.
approve the minutes.
Okay.
Susan, Bonnie, so,
Okay.
okay,
Done
all right. We want to jump to roads?
Yeah. The paving is finished, finally. They still have the shoulders and some of the striping. They do a little bit of striping over there to do, and they're, of course, weather dependent on that, so that's good news. No change with stormwater management. We were gonna maybe put the list together that you guys felt needed the attention.
Yeah, I need to get back to that.
I know. It's, you gotta.
I'd hope to meet with Chris, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
And that hasn't happened, so.
yeah. I know. Yearly maintenance on the mower and also the chainsaw. they picked it up last week, they're bringing it back tomorrow. It was, I think, $419, you just signed a check. We do that every year,
Mhm.
and that's it.
Okay. Jack, how are the money?
Budget looks good. We're just exactly where we expect to be. Very few line items are over budget by $5 or something. But all the categories are well within where we hope to be. Nothing really to report, nothing interesting to report.
Okay.
I did have one question about, did Birch Marine ever get back to you with them?
No, they did not. And I called and I spoke with a woman there. I imagine this is the Molly, her name's Molly. She was gonna have, I guess, her husband get back in touch with me, which he did not. And I called again and was left a message, and I had not heard back. But I have called since. And Tony gave me another name of a company, and I just haven't called them yet.
I'll call Birch.
Okay.
They started off this way at Mother Harbor.
Did they really?
Afterwards, they became very
Yeah.
responsive, so,
Okay.
all right, we'll try.
It'd be a little product,
Maybe.
an electric, no.
Okay. Okay, environment?
I have nothing but Virginia, I know you're having a new,
We're having
Ivy
another
League this week.
Ivy League this week,
Yeah.
Saturday, on the same lot that we had it on in December, or in November. It's pretty heavily infested with ivy, so we may be going back there a couple times. But we had 7 people show up.
Did Kevin show up?
Did who?
Kevin the.
He did,
Oh,
yes.
good. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah, so that was
Okay,
nice.
good,
So that was a good crew, so hope to have the same people and maybe more
yeah. Mhm.
this weekend, so.
I sent the email out today.
I saw that, thank you,
Saturday.
Yeah.
thank you.
And I was gonna tell you, for the last time, a gentleman came in on Friday, and he's looking around, how can I help you? And he said, isn't the Ivy League meeting? And I said, no, that's tomorrow. So I assumed he should, I didn't know, get his name or anything.
Did Kevin ever come in and give you the information?
I have
Oh, you
his
have,
contact
okay.
information, yeah. But anyway, I don't know if it was him, maybe.
Well,
Somebody got the
maybe,
dates mixed up.
Oh,
Maybe, yeah, maybe, oh, probably was.
could have
What's the
been.
time that you're starting? What time?
10 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's 10 to 12, and you can come for any amount of time that you can spare, so.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. Maggie, do you have anything on safety, any updates?
Do not,
I'm sorry, say again.
I said I do not.
Okay, all right, thank you. Rio, welcoming.
Let's, I don't know who came last time, Asha and Jenny.
And Jenny.
And Jenna, and Susan, you were out gallivanting around the room. Anyway, they assembled 4 buckets and I distributed 1, and that leaves me 6 on hand.
Usually it slows down about this time.
It
right?
does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that, well, I don't know, Maggie could probably comment more, but it seems like the market has slowed down. People either aren't buying or not moving or whatever. I'm seeing more houses sit vacant longer, so.
I think it needed to slow
Right.
down.
Hmm?
I think it needed to slow down.
Yeah, probably.
What's the uncertainty about mortgage rates?
Well, that,
That's part of it.
It's just how much is my money gonna be worth?
but I know that new house over on Cove was on the market at 1.2, which I thought was way overpriced. It's now down to 985, I think, which I still think is high, but, you know, they weren't gonna sell that at that.
Well, they went up so fast too, I mean,
Well, it's nice, I've been in it, it's a nice house,
yeah.
but the lot is not that desirable, it's not,
Yeah.
if it was on a, more of a prime waterfront lot,
Mm-hmm.
not on the canal like that, they probably could have got the money.
Well, they should have done that this summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, the timing, yeah.
The what?
Earlier would be better,
Yeah.
put it on the market.
Right.
Correct verb, would have been better.
Okay, I don't have too much on planning. I did find out that the public comment portion had gone. They did their 30-day public comment, and this was the Corps of Engineers and MDE, and they got no comments. So they can continue, start with the permitting process. I haven't gotten any updates. I suspect that things probably slow down this time of year, but I need to check back with them, but, you know, moving slowly, but at least moving. Okay. Any unfinished, do we have any old business that we need to talk about?
You just mentioned the biggest old business we've got. You just mentioned the biggest old
Yeah,
business we have.
Right
Yeah.
at the beach restaurant.
Right, okay. All right, new business. Mike and John have talked, and they've got some ideas they want to talk about and improvement projects. Remember, John
Yeah.
had some ideas, and so he and Mike have talked. Mike, you want to?
Yeah, he's apparently, he's a friend of Maggie's from what I could gather, this John.
Well, they sleep together. I don't know if they're friends.
Yeah, they may not be friends.
Okay, she told me so, I wouldn't trust him. Anyway, he had some interesting ideas. To start out with, he said, look, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Because I just want to wake us up and realize that there are things we can do to make our community more appealing. Some people might see that in terms of dollars and cents. Others might see it more in terms of when somebody goes to buy a house, they go, oh, this is kind of neat to add this year too. It just might help. And plus it's a service to the kids. We've all heard about the playground stuff. Maggie gave me a name of a lady who I have not contacted yet, and I'm willing to start tomorrow after I kind of wanted to talk to everybody here about it. But she said, hey, I'm willing to get involved in the playground. So I said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find out, and it shouldn't be that hard. You go online and you can always see that there's issues about it. Well, here's the problems you're going to have. There's parking issues. There's other things I never even thought about. But kind of want to enumerate these things, maybe even come up with, costs and letting the board know, like, okay, here's what I found. So if we ever get asked the same questions again, we can say, here's the answers, instead of just shooting from the hip. Now,
Yeah, it was before he was,
Yeah.
he also brought up something interesting about, like, hey, even bringing a farmer's market into Drum Point. And I thought, well, that sounds pretty cool, too. Let's see, he talked about a sign, and that's something I guess I'd have to personally look at or find out who's responsible, and I guess Rita can help me with that. Perhaps beautifying it in any way. I know we've put flowers and things like that in the past, but
around the
just
drum.
find out if this is something we consistently do, or is that just somebody that went out there and was a nice guy one day or a nice lady and did it. So anyway, farmers market's a big thing. I really believe we get in there. Dog park, the playground, and then this Drum Point signage, things like that we can consider. Something else he brought up, which I found interesting, was he says make Drum Point a walkable community. And I said, well, that's interesting, because my wife does walk a lot and ride a bike a lot, and I've had friends come in and say, geez, you've got a lot of people on bikes and walking around Drum Point. And then he brought up a point. He says, well, as soon as you come into Drum Point, it's you risk your life getting in there, because you got that one turn on, I think it's Beretta, is that the road?
Yeah.
If there's any way we could do something on the side of that road to make it easier for people or safer to walk, I'm not sure if we have the right of way on that. Who would I talk to about something like that?
That's maintained by Calvert County.
Okay.
Beretta is,
Beretta, yeah.
Okay, I'm just wondering, okay, again, I'd probably come in there and I just want to throw these things out at you guys. That's not something I immediately am willing to hop on anyway. But the things I really want to look at, and I know we can get information, the playground and the dog park and eventually the farmer's market. Those are three things I think that can easily, at least we can find out whether or not we can do them. Farmer's market, hey, why not? I thought that was pretty cool, something I never even thought about. Bring it right in there across from the office, for example. And, maybe they'd say, sure, we'd love to come, have an opportunity to sell in Drum Point.
We had,
Little things.
we had one in Silver Spring in our neighborhood, and it was very popular.
What's that?
We had one in our neighborhood in Silver Spring at the playground, and it was every Saturday, and it was very popular.
No, they are popular.
I think-
In Falls Church, they have one in City Hall parking
We
lot
should look at
every
these
Sunday.
things. John's right, you know,
Saturday,
just kind
all
of
year
get
long.
us going.
There's, up at Sneed's Ace Hardware, there's a sign up there about Saturday farmers market.
Yeah, they
and
have that.
I haven't seen a whole lot up there at any time. That's been the problem over here, is getting people, because a lot of the people that do the farmers markets tend to come, I think, from St. Mary's more.
Yeah.
They get some of the Amish and Mennonite people, and so, you know, transportation's always an issue. But even when they had it in Solomon's, they never got a real big participation in it. But you might check up with, I don't know, I suppose somebody at Sneed's knows who they're in contact with, and, you know, there's no point in trying to compete with them, because I don't think there's enough source of stuff, but
Yeah, the big thing is you talk about, are we having more vendors? Is that the issue, that we could use more vendors, and there aren't enough? When you say participation, do you mean on the vendor end or on the buyer end?
well, I would say, to me, it's the vendor end is a big part of it, because if you don't have, you know, some good variety and at least a decent number, people just aren't gonna go.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're hitting it on the head. I think that's Mike, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna look into these things. I looked online already, and that's Jesse Johnson. You know, don't forget your Google machine. Get on there and look at this. It's not like we'll be the first ones trying these things. But I just gotta get an idea, some quantifying here, like, okay guys, this is what it'll cost. We're not out here trying to make money, we're just trying to keep costs low and enhance the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I don't know how a farmer's market works, but I would think if somebody showed up with fresh bread and this, that, every Saturday, and stuff, I could see how that kind of stuff would work, and the produce, right there in Drum Point. I mean, you're right, Ace Hardware, so I go there enough, I'll ask questions there, but anyway, just letting everybody know that I've got these things going a little bit, and I'm gonna actually start more tomorrow. I just wanna talk to you guys. And that's it, so if anyone else has any more ideas.
Well, with
For
that,
Rhea and Tony, so they didn't have to reinvent the wheel on playground. Do we
Yeah.
have documentation on,
I believe Rhea has a whole file.
Yeah,
on
there's
it.
extensive work done
Yeah.
about that, Mike, you don't have
We
to.
Okay.
We had looked into that probably 2 years ago by
Yeah,
now.
because there was a big interest in,
There
yeah.
was, and I attended a webinar, and the one thing that mainly held us back, I think, was the liability issue. And, you know, it could be overcome, but it's just something that's really you need to keep in mind, because at this webinar, they gave the example of a community who had put in a brand-new playground. And apparently it wasn't assembled correctly, and they weren't inspecting it, thinking, oh, it's brand new. And some kid, I don't know how old now, was hurt, badly hurt. And the community was sued for, I don't remember the amount now, like into the millions.
I think
And it
we-
bankrupted the community.
And I think we decided last time that was so crucial that we didn't
Well,
wanna.
That's a really extreme
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
CRE
I
has
think your notes,
playgrounds.
You're right.
I'll look
Well,
for
I don't
them.
need to go back and research everything. I'd like to see what you have to start with,
Okay,
and then go from there. And look, the point is that when somebody asks us at one of those big board meetings, or the meeting where the community's there, and they bring it up, it would be nice if we could, we're not trying to shut people down, but at least explain to them more than, yeah, we looked into it and it was a liability concern. I mean, that's what we all knew from generalizations, but I didn't know we really had some data. I'd love to see that, whatever you got.
Yeah, there was more information too. It was like you had to have people checking the playground equipment on a regular
Yeah.
basis, and there had to be some community person as well as somebody
Right.
from the
And
board.
preparing the ground was another issue.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I'll see if I can't
Yeah.
find my
It was
file.
more involved.
Yeah, I'll get with you then,
Okay.
thank you.
And I just wanted to interject about the walking path, even though Beretta is county maintained. John had mentioned this to me some time ago. And I wondered if one couldn't create, excuse me, a path through the area that is mostly owned by the land trust. As you come in on Beretta, that whole chunk of property, there's one house before you make the curve, but behind them, and for a good portion, it's land trust and association property. And I thought, if he was really interested in that, we might be able to do, I don't know, a gravel path through there, clear it off somehow. But just something to think about.
Great, I mean, if I'm gonna come see you, we'll sit down.
Okay.
Would the land trust
You
consider
and I-
that some
Well, I don't
kind of
know.
development?
I don't
That's
know.
awesome.
I
I
don't
was
know.
curious
All right.
about that myself, and John had mentioned, I said, well, I'm wondering if people, are we gonna have people cutting through the woods where then somebody can get attacked, and we can, no, you gotta clear it out more than that, maybe. But I think that's a pretty neat idea, and I'm thinking some kind of a board structure, which would mean, like, we'd have to get, labor and of course materials, hopefully somebody would donate. I don't know about that for sure, but I mean, there's ways around it. I will talk to Rita, and I know you've been around a little bit, well, not that you've been around.
I've been around.
I've been around,
I have to be so careful.
You got data, Rita.
Yeah, I'll see what I can find on different things.
Thank you much.
All right.
And the dog park's probably very similar, liability.
Oh, yes, the reliability of the dog park, yeah.
Yeah.
People have these things, so how do they do it? So let's.
You just get an insurance policy, that's all.
And then
Yeah.
location.
Yeah, yeah.
The dog park, you have to have fenced off and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like we spent some time looking at different, Crystal was on the, part of the committee of looking at where to, put the playground. And the location was a big issue, it was hard
Yeah.
to decide
Yeah.
a good place for that.
Did they actually do a committee and?
Well, remember, Crystal and it was
Alyssa,
Alyssa,
the woman on the board,
yeah,
okay.
and then came,
That's
yeah.
right.
And
Yeah.
they went to
I
different
forgot.
places.
Oh, they did go, good.
Yeah, different
I forgot.
places, and there were issues with things being level, or, or too close to the road, or, and then we thought maybe the beach would be a good idea, but that erodes and has problems, and so, location's a big issue too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, okay, but, Rita, are you familiar, was that, Asha talking?
Yes, that was Asha.
Okay, Rita, are you familiar with what she was talking about?
Yes, yes.
Okay, good, so I'm gonna go in there and sit down with Rita, and, I guess she deserves at least a little raise for that 1 hour she has to spend with me, but,
I vote yes.
I just, I wanna know what we.
We'll give her 6 hours of comp time.
Get this stuff documented, and maybe other ideas, and I've said enough, so we're all ready to move on.
Yeah, and I think it's worth looking into.
Yeah.
I mean, if there is a way,
Look at it again, sure.
yeah, it would be a value to the community.
And more importantly, by the way, this, this is gonna have to, it's not just gonna be me, it's all of us and none of us, so we need a good acronym too, and I'm working on that, okay? I can't come up with something quite like IED. I'm working on it, okay? Give me time,
Okay.
a lot. Thank you.
One question on, when we talk about parks or a playground or something like that. If there's a lot that belongs to us and it's in green space, could that be cleared and used for a community park?
I think so. I would have to double check it, but back when we were gonna purchase this one and trying to consider whether it should be green space or not, we decided not to. I believe the county attorney said that we would not be limited on, I'll check with the county
Yeah.
attorney.
Whether you put
But
equipment
you'd
on
have
it.
you'd have to clear trees and
We
stuff.
can't
to be able to-
develop it, we can't like build a house or a
Right.
garage or a shed or
Yeah, a lot of
anything.
things
Yeah.
sure that.
But playground equipment, I think he said would be acceptable.
Okay.
Well, that's something to use for their,
Yeah, I would double check, and make sure.
That's pretty
it's
hopeful.
right.
Okay, thank you.
okay. I guess the next thing is to schedule a meeting. This is gonna be a record show meeting.
Well.
Of course, then we have to go into.
I just wanted to bring up, a couple people on the Facebook page mentioned that their cars were getting broken into. Yeah,
I saw that.
Where, in any particular
I
streets?
can't remember what the streets were,
There
but
was
that's,
on Chestnut.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's unfortunate.
They were rifling through the cars, right?
Mhm.
Taking things, yeah.
Yeah, some of
Did
them
they
have
call
them on
the
camera.
sheriff's department on vote?
I don't know.
They didn't say.
I'll
That's
ask them
what
to
they
do
need
that
to do.
though.
when-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was mentioned, but.
I thought one of them mentioned it.
Yeah, it was definitely mentioned.
That would probably be a good thing for the newsletter, just to warn people.
Yeah, make sure you lock your
Well,
cars.
it's already printed,
It's
so
already
next
well,
time, yeah.
next time, yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that, because that's happening everywhere.
Yeah, every time in Alexandria.
In Bethesda, it's happening in the neighborhood, especially as you get closer to the district line.
Yeah.
People coming across the border and things.
I have a question, it might be a stupid question, but, would you ever consider having, for the office, a post office box? Do you ever
No.
get worried that your
I
mail is
wouldn't do it.
taken from the?
No, we have a post office box, believe it or not.
And the post office.
Okay,
We use this for primary mail.
yeah.
We set up a post office box years ago because years before that, somebody was concerned about the possibility that a board member or myself would look at a ballot, eye it through the
Yeah,
envelope and
exactly.
throw it away. So we went, if we didn't like the vote.
Yeah.
Yes, so we went to this.
Predated Trump a
Yeah,
long
so-
time ago.
So we went through this thing of having to have like, what's it called when you have like a board of directors, like in a big company? We
Yeah.
had secret ballots,
Yeah.
that's what it was. So we had numbered ballots and envelopes, and they had to match. And,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, this is a little property owners association.
No, this is
So we
more
did
in
it
terms
just-
of like checks and.
I know, so we did that just one
The
They thought
year.
that was the candidates
Yeah,
turning
The
around.
fishing though, fishing from mailbox.
Women.
Oh, I understand that,
Yeah.
I understand that.
Because I was
Anybody
a
wants to
victim
get
of
a word
fraud.
that bad.
So,
they're perfectly willing to
Well,
try
if you
to
guys
see
think we should start using that PO box instead
Well, I-
for incoming mail,
Well, only if there's checks,
well, I could
that's a
do,
problem.
I could do-
I was a victim of a fraud from a US mailbox on the corner of my neighborhood, fishing
yeah.
and washing.
Well, what I could do is, because I even have envelopes back there, because, okay, let me finish what I was saying. So the next year, the person on the nominating committee, John Ivanchak, said, why don't we just get a PO box? And then somebody on the nominating committee would pick up the mail. And that way Rita can't throw things away, nor can a board member.
Oh, that doesn't make any sense.
So no, and they kept them in their house.
Oh,
And, but we haven't had an election like that for a while. We've done,
But you just want anything where,
election by
where
acclamation.
checks are gonna be put there.
Yeah, that's-
I understand what you're
Not
saying.
vote
Not,
fraud.
yeah.
So I understand, so
Mine's
all I'm
pretty-
saying is that we do have a PO box set up.
Oh, okay.
And I can, but we don't ever use it, but we
Yeah.
keep it just in case we have an election.
Okay, but it should be for.
So I could order envelopes for the mailing of all the statements that would correspond to the,
Those
PO
are-
box.
Yeah, that may be.
It might not be a bad idea,
think that would be
because people are
safer.
starting to
Oh,
steal
God.
Yeah.
things out of
And it's
mailboxes.
not, it's big time, it's not just occasional here and there, it's really,
I actually do have a quantity of those envelopes in the back, but they say ballot enclosed.
Oh,
okay, well,
So,
so you have to change.
I would have to,
it,
okay.
Black
Okay.
magic mark.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Well, they,
Well, yeah, but,
it's not just if you're out of your own mailbox. We had a check, about 5 checks stolen from the yacht club that were mailed at the post office.
Oh,
And
and
somewhere
inside the
between-
post office?
Inside, and somewhere between
Wow.
Solomon's and the distribution center in DC,
So, inside job.
inside job. Okay, so one of them, and this, we're not the only victim, it's happened to others. One of the checks was to the county for our property taxes, $19,995.
Mhm.
A person got it,
Mhm.
washed the check, put a woman's name on it,
Mhm.
cashed it in Florida. The bank fortunately caught it. The county, forgave us and they extended the time and all that stuff, and then told us that this has been happening, it's not the first one.
That's
But they're able
interesting.
to wash a check,
Yeah,
and these checks have,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
a pattern on them.
mhm,
They can probably Photoshop
mhm.
the pattern and then Photoshop over the check, then type their own
Then
name and
they're-
address in
And
it.
they're gonna do anything that they know would contain a check, like a Pepco or
Sure.
Smacko or whatever, or even Christmas cards, I think, because you might be sending a check to somebody for a gift. I mean, it's right. It's,
I don't think we need to permanently change the mailing address, but I do
No.
think it makes sense, since I mail out whatever, 1,200 statements, to
yeah.
have them come back to that
That-
PO
yeah,
box.
I think that was a good
that's
idea.
Good idea.
Mhm. That was,
All right,
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Okay. All right, back to next meeting. The 3rd of January would be the first Tuesday.
That works for me. You're gonna.
I will be in San Salvador,
Yeah, you're
so-
gonna, yeah, there's no good time for you.
Good for me.
Should be fine. So we're saying January then?
For the 3rd, at least a quorum.
Well, let's see. Me. Yes.
Tony's the only one who's
As long as
not
that's-
available. Okay.
And I
So
won't-
the 3rd of January will be the next meeting.
Somebody saw him.
Mike?
Hmm.
Mike?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. We thought you left.
You mean this mic, right?
Yes, that Mike.
Okay.
Phone.
3rd of January, that's fine.
Okay.
That's your asking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
That's right.
Okay, any last minute? Okay, so, I want to adjourn this meeting and go into executive session. Let's turn
We
that
need a
off.
motion. We need a motion to adjourn into executive session.
I make a motion that we adjourn and go into executive session. Is there a second?
You need to sign.
And
All right.
all in favor?
All in favor?